The Marvel Cinematic Universe sure has grown, hasn't it? From humble beginnings about a guy in a cave building a Gundam out of scraps, to a purple alien overlord killing half of every sentient being in the galaxy, it has been a wild ride. We've had some ups, some downs, shared some laughs and tears, but now is the time for stuff to get real weird. Personally, I really like that the MCU has started to lean into the weirder side of comics. We're jumping into time travel, reality alteration, ancient gods, and chaos magic. It's just a great time to be a viewer and a comic fan. Why this big weird preface? Because today's video is about an extra-dimensional magical minotaur that was featured in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and damn it, I am here for it. Rintrah is a extra-dimensional being who resembles an ancient minotaur from Greek mythology. Created by Peter Gillis and Chris Warner, Rintrah made his debut in Doctor Strange Volume 2, issue number 80 in Cameo, and was later fully revealed in the final issue of the series, issue number 81. After a battle with an ancient demon known as Katz, who looks like a big shadowy cat, Doctor Strange's most loyal garment and the number one homie, the fabled Cloak of Levitation, was torn to shreds. Doctor Strange tries to fix it himself, causing the cloak's powers of levitation to trash his room, which forces Strange to return the cloak to its shambled mess and begins a long, arduous research project trying to find out who created the garment and, more importantly, who could fix it. He comes across the name of Enithramon, the Weaver, an ancient reclusive being from another dimension. He teleports himself to Enithramon's dimension and seeks him out. While the cloak is being fixed, Doctor Strange wanders into a pocket dimension of shadow after hearing a fellow hero, Cloak, calling out for aid against a villain named Ecstasy. Ultimately, this isn't really important in the story of Rintrah, but they are able to easily stop Ecstasy. Leaving the cloak in the possession of Enithramon, Strange returns to Earth. Without that specific version of the Cloak of Levitation, Strange next battles aliens from a far-off world led by Urthona, a powerful alien sorcerer from the planet Javaltu. Urthona's kind of an interesting character. His goal was to replace Strange as the Sorcerer Supreme of his own dimension using Stephen's artifacts held in the Sanctum Sanctorum. Urthona sends their planet's strongest champion to battle Stephen while he's out on a dinner date. Strange ends up having to fight this unnamed alien champion, while Urthona steals the entire Sanctum Sanctorum and all of the mystical artifacts within it. I feel like this level of robbery would make Nick Cage in Gone in 60 Seconds blush. An entire house in New York in this market. Unreal. Strange ends up being gravely injured in the ambush battle, and he's infected with a magical poison, causing his astral form to attack his physical body. After commandeering the body of a friend, Sarah Wolf, Strange was greeted by Rintrah, who was only shown as a cameo in the final panel of issue 80. In the next issue, issue 81, Strange shows up in a UFO. Quite a scene shift, if I must say. His body is healing in a tank of fluid, and everybody knows that you just heal better in a tank of fluid. That Star Wars established that years ago. But Strange's astral form is partially possessing the body of Rintrah. Rintrah had been tasked by his master Enithramon to return the now-fixed Cloak of Levitation, but Rintrah happened upon Strange after being gravely wounded. We also learn a bit more about Rintrah's background. He was an alien from the planet Raval, and he began working as an apprentice to Enithramon after others witnessed his magical potential. So Rintrah allows Strange to partially possess his body, and the two borrow a spaceship from Reed Richards, who has a ton of spaceships in his possession at this point. The guy just has spaceships on spaceships. Rintrah and Strange follow Urthona's magical trail to his home planet of Javaltu, and after a massive battle that sees Rintrah possess Strange's body, Strange possess Rintrah's body, Wong brutally murdered by Urthona, and Strange destroying every magical artifact that was present in the Sanctum Sanctorum in order to prevent Urthona from getting them, Urthona is finally defeated. And the battle is pretty cool. I suggest checking it out on Marvel Unlimited, as it's chock full of shots like this where a mystical space minotaur possessed by Doctor Strange blasts lightning down on aliens. And I don't work in sales anymore, but I feel like that kind of sells itself. When the next series begins, Strange Tales Volume 2, Rintrah, now an official homie, has decided to return to the Sanctum Sanctorum with Doctor Strange. Wong is revived due to the powers of Topaz, and Rintrah finally asks Strange to help serve him and train him, but Strange refuses in the heat of a conflict. Rintrah did, however, remain and assist Strange in various battles during the series, including a rematch against Katz, and Strange also noticed that for a novice sorcerer, Rintrah had a lot of talent. Seeing as all the magical artifacts in the world were removed following the battle with Urthona, the barriers between Earth's dimension and other dimensions began to weaken. During this time, Strange accepted an offer by a former rival of the Ancient One and a former villain of his own, a mystic named Cloak, a master of dark magic. Cloak basically understood that, due to Strange removing these artifacts, the world could be coming to an end and needed to give Strange the tools to battle the threats coming. Because of this new mastery of dark magic, Strange was no longer able to use the Eye of Agamotto, and Strange entrusted its care and protection to Rintrah, showing a massive sign of respect for his capabilities. Strange was involved in a battle with Shumagorath that required him to bond with the Eldritch God. Strange then lost himself and slipped into godhood until Cloak and Inithraman helped burn the essences of Shumagorath out of him. At this point, Rintrah left Strange's wardship and returned to his home dimension, giving Strange back the Eye of Agamotto, as Strange needed a bit of rest. Rintrah did later return to Strange, eventually being accepted as an apprentice and began his training. Rintrah's goal was to inherit the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme from Dr. Strange, and during this time he was involved in a number of smaller scale encounters. He accidentally turned some trash into a monster, and he along with Strange had to stop it. He helped Strange defeat an Earth Elemental, and Rintrah and Strange even teamed up with Ghost Rider to help depossess their friend and teammate Topaz. Rintrah was even around during the massively successful crossover event, the Infinity Gauntlet. In Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme Annual 2, there's a short story called His Master's Foes that shows Rintrah's fierce dedication to study as well as learning various foes associated with Strange, and this actually impressed him heavily. Strange ended up gifting Rintrah with his own Cloak of Levitation from Strange's early adventures along with the Amulet of Agamotto. Strange also tasked him with saving people who had been imprisoned by a sentient haunted house known as the House of Shadows that disguised itself as a condominium in order to imprison other tenants to feed off their life force. And honestly, I was in New York City last weekend and I was looking at rent on Zillow, and that's not a bad deal. Rintrah was able to successfully banish the house and return the people it had imprisoned. And the last big Rintrah story was Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme issue 51. In this issue, Rintrah disguises himself in order to get out of the house, and he ends up coming into contact with members of the Cult of the Snake, agents of a woman named Calliex. Like all good cult members, they hand him a pamphlet telling him about a talisman that they possess that will enrich his life and remove any pain he has. Obviously, Rintrah was concerned and he went to the site only to try and trick the group into believing he was a demon. He ended up being possessed by Tartesis, the eldritch god that Calixis served. Dr. Strange came to investigate Rintrah's disappearance, but he was ambushed by Rintrah and he too was captured and taken to Tartesis' home dimension. With Tartesis back in his home dimension, both Rintrah and Calixis were now free of the influence of the demon. Rintrah is able to travel to that dimension and blast the Eldritch God with a lightning bolt, rescue Strange, and return to their home dimension. When they return, he attempts to smash the talisman, but it's booby-trapped. The resulting blast gravely injures Rintrah, and Strange has to place him in suspended animation in a separate astral plane in a pocket dimension just to keep him alive. Rintrah was not seen again in comics for decades. Most recently in the comics, Doctor Strange has opened a school for magically gifted students called the Strange Academy. Think of it like Hogwarts, except for Marvel characters. At the end of the second issue, Rintrah is mentioned as a teacher for the Academy. And that is about it for his comic history, but with Rintrah being included in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, one might even stand to deduce that he is primed for a comic book comeback. I mean, after all, he's fine. He's alive, we know he's a teacher. I would not at all be surprised if he didn't show up in the book Strange Academy at some point. Now in the comics, Doctor Strange did just die, giving up the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme to his own daughter, but Rintrah could easily make a comeback, providing her with assistance or even possibly taking over the mantle for himself. And that is about it for this episode of Complete History. My name is Nick. I hope you guys learned a lot, and if you did, remember to like and subscribe and do all that other crap that YouTubers ask you to do. Thanks again for watching, and remember the motto, Rintrah over everything.